breath here is an invitation to relax even deeper. It's like imagine that relaxation, like a staircase, and you can step down to a deeper level. So maybe while we're in our normal thinking, working state, maybe we're kind of the highest level of that staircase. Maybe it's not necessarily unrelaxed, but it wouldn't necessarily be relaxed. And then imagine taking a step down that staircase. What does that next level of relaxation feel like? Just imagine the body knows and it just goes there. So feel that sudden release. Maybe there's another level. Release another step down. It's as much a mental game as a physical game. So just enjoy these good breaths. And try to keep these breaths flowing like this. Like as we travel through class, our goal is to get more and more of those steps down. There's only so much we can demand our body to relax in a minute or two. But here, as we have an hour to continue to deepen it, that's our goal today. And so with that, let's take just a moment to connect with an intention. The intention is about yoga or union, and it's about unifying with ourselves. There's an awesome Native American saying that I've heard, kind of shaman saying, that is associated with a ceremony of trying to return all the lost soul fragments that may have, kind of wandered off or been lost when we went through hard things in our life. And it's like we lost a part of ourselves, maybe with a relationship or other types of things. And so this ceremony is about usually something like the wording, I ask all parts of myself to return to myself now. And that's one type of unifying. If it's easier to visualize, you can visualize yourself meeting your future kind of masterful version of yourself. And just by being in the presence of that future version, you're kind of becoming that person. So you're unifying with that version. So whatever way you'd like to imagine returning all parts of yourself or unifying yourself in the highest possible way, imagine that's our simple goal today. Isn't that the goal of yoga? Unifying. It's the very word yoga, what it means. And so that's our intention today, that little image that will stay in the back of our mind. So with that to help lead us on, what I'd like us to do to start off with is invite the knees into the chest. Take a couple of simple, easy rocking movements. Our sacrum is super important. It connects the legs and the hips, the lower body, to the upper body, the spine. And sometimes that sacrum kind of takes a beating, and the way that we use it, the way that we walk with it, the way that we sit with it, it will tend to tilt in different ways. So I love to start off just with this gentle rocking. It's kind of a kind, loving reminder to the sacrum. I do wish to include you in the highest, best way. After you've massaged that sacrum for a little while, let's allow the feet to return gently to the ground, close to the glutes. We're locating one of our blocks, and in lifting up our hips, we're sliding the block under our hips. So for this one, I would recommend either the low height or maybe the medium height if you want just a little bit more. From that lift, feel already we're in an inverted state with this upper body. The neck is in gentle compression, but notice how the back of the neck is allowed to be long here. So maybe even scoot the, kind of tug the chin in more so the back of the neck can lengthen even further, giving that nice gentle neck stretch. With the upper body set up grounded and inverted, so we're helping out the lymphatic system and the circulatory system. With that, let's start to slide the right heel further forward on the ground. What this does is allow an important muscle group on the front of the right hip, called the psoas, to kind of pop up and out forward. That psoas holds a lot of trauma. We go through hard things. This is one of those areas that notoriously will get tight afterward. But also if we just sit a lot, it will tend to get tighter because that's a very short configuration for the psoas. So here we're physically helping to lengthen it out, but also working on it on some of those deep levels. Imagining if a soul fragment got lost, maybe our psoas tried to kind of overcompensate to replace it. So give that psoas permission to just be. It doesn't have to overwork. Just by asking the soul parts to return, they will. Let's take another 3 breaths just on this half. If you ever wanted to take your right hand to the front of the right hip to add in a slight aspect of massage, that's okay. The next slow exhale. Let's give that left leg just that same opportunity. So slowly slide the right back in. And then the left lengthens out, sliding forward on the ground. Good. Give this side plenty of opportunity, just like the first side had, to relax, to release. Just breathe into it. That left hand wanted to come up and gently massage the front of the left hip. That's also beautiful. Sometimes that physical touch can be a reminder for the body that we're safe. Those muscles don't have to be prepared to spring into fight and flight action. We're safe here. Everything's good. We're open, we're happy. From here, let's transition before we head out of using the block. Let's transition for a moment into a very low body back bend. So slide the right leg back out. Feel how the hips are that peak of this back bend. Now at this point, both hips, both psoas have that chance to pop the psoas forward into the stretch. If the intensity is too much, You can bump the block height down a level. Lower block will make it easier for the psoas. You want to include the shoulders just a little bit more. You can try to see if hands will come together to either grab block or clasp fingers, and then let the shoulder blades squeeze together so the front of the pecs, that front part of the shoulders are opening up. Still allow back of neck to be long on the ground, just heavy and relaxed. A couple more breaths right here. More huge inhale. Nice exhale. Start to slowly slide one foot in and then the other. And then when we lift our hips back off the block, setting them back onto ground, you'll want to give that sacrum some attention. Usually it's really tender for me returning back to the ground. So I'll start off with kind of like a shimmy dance of my sacrum on the ground. All I'm doing is rocking onto my right hip and rocking onto my left hip. If you want to bring knees back into chest like we started to help that out, that's fine. But oftentimes an even more gentle version does just as much good. So that's how we'll start. When that feels like it's helped to massage the sacrum into a decent spot, we can start to take windshield wipers to add the next level of relaxation to that sacrum. So windshield wipers are both knees tilting to the right, and then both knees tilting to the left. So how that does have an impact on the sacrum. So move as slowly and as kindly as your body's asking for. And the next time the knees are both tilted over to left, let's allow them to stay to that side. If that's enough rotation, just stay. There doesn't have to be anything more. If you want a little bit more, you can take left ankle and rest it on the right knee. That will invite the right knee a little further down because of the weight. That might be too intense for the knee, so if you need to release that, don't feel any pressure, you're okay. Take one more breath on this half. Releasing left ankle down. If you lifted it, the knees can rise. Let them fall open to the right. You wanted to place right ankle on left thigh, that's fine. More good inhale. And exhale. And then take at least 1 or 2 more rounds of this windshield wiper type action to each side. just to help both sides know we're good. We can work together. Eventually from there, you'll fall over to a fetal position on one side. And then use your hands to press your way up to a comfortable seated place. If we're ever sitting and you need the bolster to be underneath you, that can be nice to help the low back release a little bit more. But what we're gonna do is set up almost like a tabletop with our props in front of us. Tuck your left foot in, let your right leg be straight out in front of you. The blocks are gonna go on each side of the leg. And then the bolster is that tabletop right on top of it. Whenever the bolster gets set up, feel free to take cross arms or whatever feels comfortable to allow the head to tilt forward nice and easy and just relax on this. If you ever wanted to change the height of your blocks, that's fine. Any height that will work for you is absolutely doable today. Imagine meeting the body where it's at. Maybe it's like the hamstrings themselves have their own staircase that we have to relax down. Or maybe it's the low back that's the limiting factor. So if you're at the top of the staircase with the hamstrings, let's slowly breathe and see if we can relax down one step. Maybe there's another step available to relax into. Just keep on progressing down those steps, helping the body relax into this beautiful shape. Take about 3 more breaths for this side. When you finish your 3rd breath, slowly use your hands to help the spine return its way back up. However you'd like to switch out the legs, maybe free out the bolster for a moment so that you can slide the other leg through, and then reset the tabletop on the other half. Recognize, just because it's the same pose doesn't mean left and right halves are the same. So maybe it's a very different story leaning onto this pose. Maybe it's a totally different staircase. So see if your body can relax, progressing just one step at a time. That's all it takes. Notice where the tension is. Maybe it's hamstring. Maybe it's low back. Maybe it's even kind of shoulder blade, neck area. How much do you breathe into those areas, helping those to relax down the staircase? Let's take about 3 more breaths on this side. Softer turn up after all 3. We'll find ourselves in a comfortable seated place for a little while so we can do some nice neck and shoulder type openers. So if that means sit on bolster, great. If that means simple cross leg, great. It's whatever's going to be useful for us. It's an easy way to sit. And the first thing I want us to do is clasp hands behind the back and try to just slide the hands down toward sacrum or maybe even knuckles to the floor. As you're sliding the hands down, give the shoulders permission, instead of to kind of sacrifice themselves going forward, give them permission to open backwards. Well, that opening the very front part of the shoulders. Maybe it's natural for the neck to climb up just a little bit. So from this position, let yourself tilt the right ear slowly to right shoulder. It might not be any more than halfway of it, the tilt. Just any amount down and then up. And left ear to left shoulder, any amount. 45-degree angle could be exactly what the doctor ordered here. Up Go once more each side, over to right. And over to left. Beautiful. As we release the head back through the center, bring the chin back to neutral. Hands go over to right hip or right waist, whichever feels best with the hands clasped. And then right ear drops maybe a little bit further to right shoulder. Maybe it's just a little bit deeper of the shoulder stretch. You could always tilt the head slightly forward of shoulder or slightly backward if that gets the neck in just the right stretch. Good. Head slowly up. Hand shift over to left hip or left waist, and then left ear drops down. Again, permission to tilt in any angles that get the tight spots here. As the hands come up, release the hands off to left and right sides. Extend the arms out or even hover them out. And then from here, we'll take a slow semicircle of the head rocking forward now. So start with right ear over right shoulder. We're going to slowly take a journey, tilting the head slightly in front of right shoulder. Eventually roll the chin all the way down to chest. Continue just as slowly, left ear eventually going over left shoulder. Let's take that slow return journey. After you finish from that journey, if there were any particularly tight spots, go to that angle and just pause, breathing, trying to relax down the steps a couple of times. Or if you don't have a particular spot, just slowly take another semicircle to each side. When that feels complete, slowly let the head rise back up to neutral. With the head at neutral, cross the right arm over the body. The left hand hugs that right arm in. Again, if the head wants to tilt any ways, forward, backward, to the side, let the head add any aspects that are useful. As we release, perhaps that right arm does a nice circle, tracing a rainbow back, a rainbow forward. Then the left arm comes across the body, dig it in. The head can be tilted in any way that feels useful. And as we slowly release, excuse me, left arm gets to trace that rainbow back, forward. Beautiful. So we're going to head onto our bellies We're setting up our props. We're gonna have the blocks at the low height, and that'll give our bolster just a little bit more, a couple of extra inches up. When we're facing forward, this should be set up just off to that right side, toward the base, toward closer to the mirror side. So from there, you'll go down onto belly, and this will help us do a nice little half frog. So hug it in as close as you need to those props, and then you're gonna end up with the right leg on top of the stack. So you're welcome to lay all the way flat, as perhaps crossed arms in front of you, laying the forehead forward. You could lay a little bit onto the side, resting the head onto the bicep. It's just any amount that feels good for this hip. The more you're facing the belly downward, the more intense it is of a stretch on the hip. The more you're facing upward, it just shifts it. It shifts it into the back a little bit. Find that first spot that's nice and comfortable. If this is relaxing but isn't really doing much for your physical body, you can turn this into more of a Sphinx pose, working the elbows right underneath the shoulders. Sphinx pose will increase the stretch, especially down through low back. If you get there and it's a little bit too much, don't feel the need to have to stay. Any amount of lifting up will do. If you're in the Sphinx, feel free to allow neck to still be heavy. Just dropping it down, back of the neck stretching. We're going to use this positioning to help us take a spinal twist. So you're going to kind of allow the torso to flip from right now, currently it's pointing down, to the torso flipping more up. So that means the left arm has to cross under and through, and then the right shoulder has to open any amount. Don't feel stressed about getting the right shoulder all the way to touch the ground if that's too deep of a twist. But just let that right shoulder roll open to the degree that it feels useful for the body. Still keep the knee heavy, just relaxing on this pile. Relax here, a couple more breaths. One more huge inhale. Exhale. As we start to roll, kind of like how we were before, we're going to switch from that right leg being an externally rotated like this to being more of an internal rotation, kind of like a pigeon pose. Know that we've got all sorts of props to help the pigeon. Pigeon isn't necessarily restorative for a lot of people, so I'll give you plenty of options. If you love pigeon and you just want to go into it, then flip the belly back down, let that right leg swing underneath you for pigeon and just drop down there. If you want any help, the first thing that you'll start to do is slide the bolster, or even the bolster and the blocks, like how they were set up, under your right hip so that it keeps it propped up a little bit more. You don't have to drop all the way down if that's a little bit too intense, or sometimes you'll even purposely stay up so you can get that psoas for a little while. Good. Just know more height makes it easier. So sliding the blocks and the bolster under would be another option. Just get it to a spot that's comfortable and releasing down in a comfortable way, or staying up if you know to do that. If you're not using blocks, maybe a block under the head could be useful. You've got many options to play with. Be here for one more beautiful breath, blowing it in and out. Okay, slowly ease your way up. As we start to set up the props for the left side, if your hips need a little bit of recovery, come to a nice kneeling place. Just wag them around in ways that feel useful. Just easing some of the tension right out of the body. Your time. Whenever you're ready for the half frog on the other side, let yourself have those props on left so that left knee can come up. Again, you're welcome to start off just nice and easy. Maybe head resting on the bicep or turning the chest a little bit more down. you liked the Sphinx variation, sliding the elbows underneath, you're welcome to slide up into that now. Remember, do not add tension to the neck. It's welcome to just drop down heavy. We'll start to flip open to the twist. So cross the right arm underneath, and then the left shoulder starts to fall open any amount. Doesn't have to completely touch ground if that's a little too far. Notice how this has the ability to create some spaciousness in the hip area. Notice if you're kind of resisting the release to gravity. Like us staying at the top of that staircase, not wanting to take that step. If you notice that, how much can you ask this area? Please relax. You're safe. You're whole. Just a few more breaths. Maybe there's another couple of steps we can take down the staircase in that time. Huge breath in. Nice exhale. And as we unwind, we prepare for the pigeon. So start to get the belly to face more to ground. And then it's the left leg that swivels underneath us. The stack of props, or even just the bolster itself, welcome to be on your left hip. Higher makes it easier. And if it's too intense, you can even just let the back leg bend to the side instead of needing to go all the way back. Maybe a block under forehead if that's useful. You've got lots of options. Use your props in ways that are going to help you out today. Try to relax about 3 more breaths. And when we head out, take another recovery moment, maybe kneeling, wagging your tail, maybe kneeling, tracing huge circles with the hips, or maybe even just sinking back for a couple of breaths with a child pose. Beautiful. So from here, we'll start to set up our Shavasana shape. Know that your Shavasana, you have permission to do whatever you'd like. With this many props, I'll give you 2 options you could do using all of the props. So one option is to set up the same tabletop that we did before. And then when you lay down, swing your legs up onto it. So that's one option. Another option could be setting up a ramp behind your back. So this would be a tall block and then this small block a little further away and then a ramp so that you can just relax onto it. So any Shavasana that would be comfortable for your body. It's not any type of pressure to do any one version. Just listen to your body, find that intuitive wisdom to help us know what would be in the highest good for our system at this point. We find our props getting settled into good shapes. Allow yourself to find your breath. Good deep inhales and exhales, guiding us into Shavasana. Guiding into this deeper sense of connection. Whether that's asking lost soul parts to return, or if that's not the paradigm, perhaps asking our highest version of ourselves, our future self, to kind of commune with us now, helping to lend us wisdom for this next segment of our life. Either way, all it takes to relax into this present moment is just the breath. So let the deep breaths flow in and out. Begin to deepen inhales, exhales. Start to introduce little movements to the body, perhaps fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Some of us might be in a spot where it's easiest to just press our way up to sit. Some of us might want a couple of breaths in a fetal position first. So eventually, as the body feels ready, we take our breaths, take our time, eventually easing our way up. Eventually, as we're up, as hands join together in front of heart, we have that simple word to lead us on, unity. Whether that's unity of all soul parts, or unity as we're becoming, kind of walking in to our highest version of ourselves. But with unity to help lead us on, let's wrap up the time that we got to share together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light, and happiness, and peace. Namaste.